Coming up right now, he's the hometown guy who grew up playing football here.
Bay Aqua Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to the show featuring Maurice Flowers. It is good to have you here. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much for having me, and it's been a long time.
Well, you know, when you talk about homegrown, you are homegrown. I'm telling you, you started here, and now you're coaching your city's college. I mean, it's fantastic.
Yes, it's great to be back as the head coach at Johnson C. Smith University. Having been a head coach in the area, having went to high school here, middle school here, it just really feels good to be in this city.
Did you ever imagine that? 'Cause when you were younger, did you ever see yourself as a coach or being at Johnson C. Smith?
I didn't see myself as a coach. As like a lot of young boys, I wanted to grow up and play in the NFL, and when that didn't happen, it was coaching. And once I began to coach, all I wanted to do was be a great quarterback coach and then a coordinator. And then somehow a head coach came about. And so once I became a head coach, yes, I did want to become the head coach at my alma mater.
Yeah, and you're there now, and you're trying to change the attitude, correct?
Yes.
The philosophy, make it a winning philosophy. How do you do that?
Well, you do it first with hiring a great staff and having the backing of your administration. And that's really what led to me coming back to Johnson C. Smith, was the administration wanted to make a commitment to football. And so having known that Johnson C. Smith hasn't won in a long time, I wanted to be a part of it.
You have to have facilities.
Yes.
To be a contender in anything. And they're giving you that. You have to appreciate that.
Oh, I really do. And that was really the thing that's going to jumpstart our recruiting and jumpstart the changing of the culture of Johnson C. Smith football. Right now where the construction for our football field and new turf should be done anytime now. We're getting a new weight room, a new locker room, a new facility for academic support. It's an athletic performance center. And so for academics and athletics, and we're just so excited because that's really what attracts great athletes and great programs.
And you get the right players in
Yes.
that and pump them into that system. What is your philosophy then? As how do you talk to them? How do you get them to buy in?
Well, we have a culture that we believe in. It's been developed over a number of years, and really it does start with the coaching staff and our recruiting and really just how we just vet each player. It's not just, hey, he looks good on film. There's a long process, and we're just really buying into what we believe in is going to just help us build the culture and the right type of program, because when you say winning program, you want it to last. You don't want a winning season.
Right.
You want a team that's going to compete year after year, and that's what we're recruiting to.
Yeah, well, you have a long history of going to different colleges and
Yes.
learning from those. Tell me a little bit of the line that you took as far as
Yes, sir.
when you came out of high school and got into college and you played at Johnson C. Smith, and then what happened?
Well, what happened is I chased my dream. I chased a professional dream and to play in the NFL, CFL, arena football leagues, and those things.
You had a
didn't
pretty
work
good
out.
arm. I'm telling you, you were daggone good, man.
I could throw it a little, but at that time, I don't know what was. I just didn't have it. But I'm glad that coaching came about. It just came naturally. And to go from being a player then to on the field as a coach, I never saw myself as a coach, but some of the people that coached me, they said, you need to do this. And that was Bill Doolin, who was one of my coaches in high school. And I started off as an assistant at East Mecklenburg. And then from there, I jumped into college at Johnson C. Smith. And that was actually to finish my degree as a student assistant.
Okay.
And then from there, I jumped into high school. I was an assistant at Myers Park High School. And then probably the best move of my coaching career, I went to Texas at Duncanville High School to play for a Bob Alpert, who was a coach actually from North Carolina at Aberdeen, North Carolina. So he hired me and really took me under his wing and just showed me what the ins and outs were of not just high school football, but how to run your football program as a business.
Yes.
And that's what he showed me, and it's really a lot of the lessons that I hold on to right now as I lead a program.
All right. Well, players. You got to get the right players. And
Yes,
you
sir.
said you've actively gone out. Are you scouring the whole country for players to come here to Johnson C. Smith?
Great question, Delano. We really try to stay within our region, and what we call our hot spots for recruiting are the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, the metro area. With about 45 minutes to an hour of Charlotte is our main recruiting area, and also the upstate of South Carolina, some of the best football in that state. And so we recruit all of South Carolina also. And then you have to go to Georgia. Georgia, one of the best.
Big in football.
Big football. Yeah. I mean, you think of the top high school playing states in football are Georgia, Florida, Texas, and they say California also.
Right.
But I like to say that we go to Georgia, then we go to Florida. And we do recruit Virginia because Virginia and the D.C. area and New York, those are areas that have long had a history of student athletes going to Johnson C. Smith. But our main areas, South Carolina, the Charlotte metro area, Georgia, and Florida.
And Charlotte has improved because back in the day, maybe it goes back 20 years ago, they weren't competing for championships on an annual basis like they are now.
Yes.
Somebody, I think it was Langston Wirtz on season 1 of the Delano Little Show, mentioned that it got better because the Panthers came to town, and they started, when they would retire, they would stay in the area, they would start coaching and doing some things. Have you seen that?
Oh, most definitely. When I was in high school, you did not see the teams from Charlotte making deep playoff runs on a consistent basis. But I tell you, within the last 15 to 20 years, you really, it just doesn't seem right if there's a team from Charlotte not in the state championship game or in the state semifinals. Some of the best football is played right here in the state, and really just look at the recruiting that colleges do. Colleges from all over come to the Charlotte area to recruit players. And you just look at Clemson, South Carolina, you look at Texas, the University of Texas, University of Florida, Miami, they all come here and to recruit our athletes. So the football in Charlotte in the area has gotten a lot better.
Well, speaking of athletes, you were a pretty darn good one at East Meck High School. We're going to come back and talk about the younger years growing up here in Charlotte. You going to stay with us?
Yes, sir. Look forward to it.
Okay, we'll be right back on the Delano Little Show. Welcome back to Season 2 of the Delano Little Show. Glad to have you with us, and good to have Maurice Flowers with us, head coach of Johnson C. Smith. And we've been talking about all the different things that you did in the college ranks as far as learning and coaching and kind of gathering a lot of your information. You gathered something else. If you haven't seen, he's blinded me with this doggone ring you got on. Tell everybody about that.
Well, this is a championship ring that we won in the SIAC conference. I was the offensive coordinator at Miles College, and the head coach was Reginald Ruffin, and Coach Ruffin's now the athletic director at Tuskegee University, and Coach Ruffin taught me a lot also, but he really we met in 2011 when I was the offensive coordinator at Johnson C. Smith. He was at Miles in his first year, and we played them in a Division II bowl game. And they were favored by probably 3 touchdowns to beat us. And we went in and we got on them pretty good.
Gotcha.
And since that time, he said, if I ever had a chance to hire you, I want to do it. And he did. And when we were fortunate enough to win us a championship.
That's awesome. That's I won 2 national championships at Georgia Southern. I'm not bragging or anything, but both of my rings together doesn't add up to the size of that doggone thing.
Well, I guess it's the years because your championships, those were big. I remember watching those with you, and you had an outstanding quarterback also.
Yeah,
Tracy Ham. Yes, sir. And but I think now, since in recent years, they've just put so much into rings, as the younger folks say, the bling, as they say.
I got you.
Yes,
Well, that's a nice ring, and congratulations to you. Congratulations to you on your whole career. Let's go back and, you growing up, middle school, were you playing football already at that time?
Yes, I moved to Charlotte when I was in the 9th grade. I was born and raised in South Bend, Indiana, grew up on the campus running around at Notre Dame University, and lived in a couple of other states.
That's a great place to grow up, running around,
yes,
as far as football is concerned.
Yes, sir.
Is that how you got football in your
It
brain?
is. I had my family. It was just always football. It was football and basketball all year round, even in the snow. and moved to a couple other places in West Virginia and Virginia, and then settling in Charlotte I just loved it. And to move here in 9th grade, went to Randolph Middle School, and from Randolph went to East Mecklenburg High School.
Yeah.
And
the Eagles.
The
old Eagles.
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And played for a wonderful head coach, Rudy Abrams. Coach Abrams, a fantastic teacher of the game, and to play for him, and just who had success all through his high school career, and also was a successful college coach. And then I played basketball also for Mark Carter, was my basketball coach. Most of the time at 6'2", 6'3", you think you're taller than your basketball coach, but Mark Carter was 7 foot tall, and my assistant coach, Bill Doolin, 6'9". So there were some good dunk contests and warm-ups in high school.
How about that?
But
pretty good basketball player? Were you good?
I was pretty good in basketball. So I actually played 1 year at Johnson C. Smith. So I did play football and basketball 1 year, but that's a load. And
Yes.
so that's why it was just 1 year for me. But I enjoyed my time as an athlete in Charlotte. And when I was in Charlotte, originally there was 10 high schools. I don't know how many we have now, but there's a lot.
It seems like 100 of them.
Yes,
really.
but there was 10, and the competition was at an all-time high.
Yes, and the whole division was so good. You played against teams like Olympic and things of that nature. Independence was,
all good teams during those times. And then I want to say it was my senior year, my junior or senior years, when we brought in the two Gastonia schools, Hunter Huss and Ashbrook, and then Crest and East Gaston were brought in the other conference, and they split the Charlotte conference up. But we used to have just one out-of-conference game, and our out-of-conference game was against Richmond County. And then
the Raiders.
Yes, who they've been doing well in football for a long time.
Absolutely.
And so that was it in Charlotte, is that you played the Charlotte schools, and there were only 2 teams that made the playoffs back then. It was rough. And so the talent in Charlotte's always been here, and now to see the schools, the other high schools come in, and there's just talent everywhere. And that's why I'd say that this is, when we start recruiting, this is the first place we hit, is home.
Yeah. Now you played quarterback.
Yes.
I played wide receiver. And was there ever a receiver that has not been open on a particular play?
Oh, well, they all have the same story. They all have the same story. In high school, I played with a very good receiver named Steve Ford, who was always open. He went both ways, played cornerback and receiver, and he come back, his tongue hanging out, and he's still open.
Yes.
But and then in college, I was fortunate to play with a couple of guys that were drafted. A young man named Joe Weinberg was drafted by the San Diego Chargers. Then another young man named Ron Meadows, who had a long career in the Canadian League, and they're always open. And I don't know that I often want to ask them, do you want to stand back here with these big guys coming at you? But yes.
That's too funny, because I was always open. I'd come back and I'd say to Tracy Ham, our quarterback at Georgia, I'm open on the backside, man. I'm open on the backside. One day he called me on it. I was playing against Nevada Reno in the semifinals of the Division I AA National Championship. We were playing in Reno, Nevada Reno, and I'm at the line of scrimmage, and doggone him, he didn't call 69, which was the backside slant and go, and the post corner.
Yes, sir.
And I caught it. He checked off at the line. It was just me and the defensive back, and I caught it, and I scored a touchdown on that play. Yeah. So I was open. I'm telling you.
Always open.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's rough. It's rough for a quarterback, because you can't keep everybody happy.
Absolutely.
But receivers, it's great to have a guy that can run a post corner the right way.
Absolutely.
And I tell you, I wish I could have learned a little from that Tracy Ham, because he was an outstanding quarterback, dual threat, as they say nowadays, the dual threat guy with Patrick Mahomes and those guys. But I tell you that he was probably one of the very first dual threat quarterbacks that I watched and could say, I want to be like that guy.
He was a great guy, but we the receivers always come back and say, we make you look good, Tracy. But hey, you're making us look good. We appreciate you being on the show. We're going to take another break. We can come back and maybe talk about what Johnson C. Smith is doing in the community, because I know that's very important to you. We'll be right back on the Delano Little Show. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show, Season 2, and Maurice Flowers. We have had a good time with you, and we know what you're doing over there as far as football is concerned at Johnson C. Smith, which is very important. But what about the community? I know you like to be involved in that. And I think you're a part of 100 Men as well, are you not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And well, I tell you what, we're part of, well, first off, the 100 Club, and with Johnson C. Smith, one of our boosters. But what we love to do is our community services. We really just concentrate on the schools, and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, the elementary, middle, and high schools. And we just have several teams within our football program where we have young men. We let some of our young men rather work with the elementary age, and then some of our young men would rather work with the high school age. So we just find where each young man is more comfortable, and we go in, we read, we spend time. We're out there for taking them through different games and just spending time with them, because those are things that I can remember was done for me when I was in high school and when I was in middle school and elementary, to have college student athletes come over and spend time with us and really just pour back into us, because we are role models, whether we want to attest to that or not. We are role models, and we should be something that the young folks strive to want to do have good grades, do well in the classroom, and also do well in the athletic field if they choose to play sports. But we want to provide them with a good model, so they need to see us.
Well, that's admirable. It also creates a bond too with those kids when they come out and later on, and they keep. Do you follow those kids throughout
Absolutely.
the schools as far as?
Absolutely, we always do, and we always like to have a youth day for one of our home games, to invite the middle schools or the high schools that we're working with, for them to come spend a day on campus, see a game, get a tour of the facilities and all of those types of things, just to keep that bond going. That's not just we showed up and we read to you one or two times, but no, we just keep it going throughout the school year and over the summer.
Well, you've had somebody instrumental to follow over there at Johnson C. Smith. I'm talking about Steve Joyner,
Yes.
A longtime friend of mine as well, head coach at Johnson C. Smith, the men's basketball program for many, many years.
Yes.
I remember when I first got here back in 1989, Johnson C. Smith was playing for the CIAA championship and the tournament championship, and they were in Richmond.
Yes,
and
sir.
I went to Richmond, and they actually won that championship. I remember that year.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
Coach Joyner, Steve Joyner, it's something where you can just walk down the hall and go sit down and talk to really just a legend. Has been around as long as he have. Coach Joyner is probably about 12 to 14 wins away from 600, and really just I love just watching how he teaches and how he coaches, just to hear how he addresses his young men and how he addresses his staff. He's been doing it for a long time and doing it well. I actually played for Coach Joyner for a year that I played basketball.
You played that one year in basketball.
Yes, sir, and really just to see how he has handled his business as the head coach and athletic director at Johnson C. Smith. He's hired a lot of alums, some of his assistant coaches, Mark Sherrill, one of the leading scorers at Johnson C. Smith.
I remember covering Mark Sherrill
yes,
many years.
He'd shoot that ball.
He could shoot from the corner.
Yes,
corner
sir.
threes was his thing.
Exactly, and he's got another assistant, Trevin Parks, who was one of the leading scorers in Smith history also. So Coach Joyner has really just poured into a lot of young men. It was something seeing there was a celebration of men's basketball a few games before the end of the season, where just so many just came back, and it was just amazing to see young men that are doing well, and from the leadership and tutelage of Coach Joyner.
It's amazing to me what athletics can do for just the whole overall university.
Yes.
I mean, just for like the pride that the student athletes take,
Yes.
and not everybody's a student athlete, just the students
Yes.
who go out there and they want to go to the game, they want to see you guys play.
And that's what we say. The athletics is really the front porch of a university. And you look at football, what's the event where everybody's going to go when you first get back to the school? It's a home football game. And so I'm glad our university is just putting much more into the athletics program and to football especially. It's going to just we're going to see dividends immediately, and as we already have seen, our enrollments going up. And that's what fine academics can just reap the benefits of it, because athletics just has something to do and pours into the entire, what do they say, the student athlete just experience.
Yes.
And so it's good. And then when you have better athletics, it shows that your enrollment is up when your athletics teams are better.
Well, continued success. We're going to be right back. We're going to talk one more time here. Take a quick break here on the Delano Little Show, and we'll wrap it up here with Coach Maurice Flowers. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show here with Coach Maurice Flowers from Johnson C. Smith. And, we've been talking some serious stuff, football, a little bit of everything. But
Yes.
what do you do in your free time? I mean, I know coaching takes up a lot of your time, but what do you do in your free time?
In my free time, I'm a dad and a husband. And I tell you, I have an 11-year-old daughter who just loves tennis. And so I love working out with her, watching her work out, and just watching her just enjoy something that she has taken on, not something that we forced on her as parents, but something that she just wakes up and says, "Hey, I'm ready to go hit that ball." And
Is it something she can take it far?
We're going to see. We're going to see. But she loves tennis. She loves preparing for it, and it's something that I didn't have. I have 3 daughters, and my oldest daughter was volleyball. My middle daughter was basketball, and here my third daughter, my baby girl, she loves tennis. So they've all went different routes in their athletic fields, and I'm looking forward to watching her grow through hers.
Got to keep them active, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate it, and good luck at Johnson C. Smith.
Thank you very much.
We're going to hope to see you again next time on the Delano Little Show. Thanks for watching.